everyone, and welcome to another edition of Webbing the Surf, the very second edition, brought to you from Sayulita Cowork and by Customer Bloom, who can grow your business faster. Today, I've got Shane Smith. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
We haven't really had much of a chance to chat since you've been in, but you're putting in the long hours. Why don't you give us the 30-second rundown of who you are, where you're from, what you're doing?
I'm from Portland, Oregon. I've spent the past couple of years traveling, doing kind of odd jobs just to get by. Martinique, Thailand, California. I was in Thailand last year teaching English, and I was making more money doing little websites here and there than I was making each month teaching. Mm-hmm. So I decided to spend the next year teaching myself how to become a Fullstack developer and how to do mobile development as well. So it's been about a year, and last night I actually published my first mobile app to the Play Store.
Nice, congrats.
So it was a big goal that I set out to do over the course of a year, and I've kind of accomplished it.
Nice.
And now I'm trying to parlay that into more permanent, sustainable income, so that I can keep living this lifestyle that we're living here and do it elsewhere.
So is your background in teaching, or what were you doing before you were geographicically liberated?
Oh, sure. All of my 20s, I worked for large nonprofit organizations, like libraries, public gardens, a PBS station, things like that.
Nice.
I have an interest in social work and social justice, and then I turned 30 and realized I was never going to make enough money doing that, and that the sedentary lifestyle of working for nonprofit organizations wasn't as fulfilling to me as it was before that. So now I write software, make websites, and I can do that from just about anywhere. My dream is to get back to working for the social good and for nonprofits by making software,
right?
Probably educational software of some kind.
Nice. It's a shame. We had a guy here, Simon, who left just before you came, who was a dev for a big educational software company.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was a good guy. And maybe he'll be back. We'll have to put it together. So you've only been a digital nomad for about a year?
About a year, yeah.
But it sounds like you've already put some serious stamps in your passport.
Yeah, but once I started doing it, I kind of figured out there was nothing else I wanted to do. And that it was making me really happy and really fulfilled to live that lifestyle. I'm not going to have a family. I'm not going to have kids. I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to buy a house. And in our culture, that kind of eliminates a lot of things that you do in terms of big life goals.
Right.
And so when I realized that I needed to fill that determination, that ambition with some goal that I could align all of my choices behind, and that ended up being location independence.
Nice.
So I just kind of broke it down into the steps of okay, how do I achieve this?
Right.
Step one, you have to develop the skill set that allows you to do that successfully over a long period of time. And I did a lot of research into doing that. And at first I was going to do aerial videography, and then I thought I could just do WordPress websites or teach English everywhere I wanted to go.
Yeah.
But the only thing that seemed to be really in demand and paid well and was the highest skill set was full stack development. So I just set my mind to accomplishing that, and now I'm getting there.
This is super interesting because I think a lot of the people who I hope are going to find interest in this show are people who want to become geographically independent and are sitting there thinking, how the hell could I do that? Mm-hmm. What could I do? I don't currently have the skill sets of what I hear these people are doing, and you made a total just mental decision to go and learn something completely new.
Yeah.
Because you knew it would get you where you wanted to go.
Yeah. I mean, I had some web development background, some programming in high school, but I went to college to get an English degree. I studied poetry, and I was a librarian for 5 years, and then I was a documentarian. And then when I was making little websites in Thailand, I was like, I can do this. It's fun, it's creative, it's productive. Might as well go full in.
So did you enroll in any online schools or anything like that when you started learning to program?
Nothing that's paid. I started out with the gentle holding hands of Code Academy, and then I moved on to things like Free Code Camp and Project Odin and stuff like that.
And what did you think of, which one of those stood out as the best, or were they all valuable?
I needed the gentle touch of Code Academy at first to break me into some of these more difficult things like Angular and Ruby, and even CSS and HTML was confusing to me at first, coming from working with just content management systems like Drupal and WordPress. But then once I started making my own applications and experimenting with projects, it kind of went really fast. And then I stopped on the third units of both of those programs, Free Code Camp and the Project Odin, and just started doing stuff on my own. And this app that I just finished is one of the 3 first apps that I've been developing.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is called Thrifter, and it's kind of a mixture between Tinder and Craigslist. So instead of looking for dates, you look for things to buy and sell with people in your community, but has the same swipe mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is a game called Help Me, and you have to use the mechanics of your phone, like text messaging in the browser, to help a woman escape a zombie apocalypse in North Korea. And I just finished one of them, and the other 2 are well into development, and I'm hoping to finish them both before I leave Mexico. So that I go back to Oregon for the summer, I can probably get work doing this, either small projects or working for a company or something, until I take off again, either to like Ecuador or Morocco or India, are all on the slate for next year.
Nice.
But you also have inspired me quite a bit with this co-work place. So I'm actually going to go do a scouting mission on the coast of Ecuador to see if there's a city like Sayulita that could use a co-work spot and that I'd like to live in too.
Nice.
Yeah.
You should hook up with James and Jacob, who just took off. They messaged me today like, hey, we want to talk about starting a co-working space in South America. And there's a lot of, we'll talk about it another time, but
sure.
This was really serendipitous here, and it involved the starting of an ISP by 2 other guys because the internet here is so bad.
Yeah.
But there's a million different variables. But so that's super interesting, and I think one question that stands out to me is Fullstack versus, you said you started out with WordPress. Like at Customer Bloom, we do a ton of WordPress sites. 90% of what we do is for small, medium-sized businesses, informational sites.
Mm-hmm.
We build them all on WordPress. So it seems like becoming a WordPress, a PHP developer would be a really easy way to get work whenever you wanted it.
Sure.
How do you find it easy to get full stack work? Like the average restaurant owner doesn't know about Angular.
No, I mean, why you go full stack versus a CMS is you want to develop a scalable application. So we're talking stuff like Airbnb, we're talking Twitter, we're talking Uber or Lyft.
So are you reaching out to those types of companies and saying, hey, I want to work remotely for you?
I'm actually applying to a Portland position for Airbnb right now, and a couple other
And is it remote?
positions. It wouldn't be at first, but that's okay.
Right.
I've been on the road for about 2 years now, and I kind of would like to stay in one place for like 6 months.
Yeah.
It seems like a really nice thing right now.
Yeah.
Mostly I like to leave during the winters. The winters in Oregon and Utah, where I've spent a lot of time as well, are pretty rough.
Yeah.
And especially when you prefer 80 degrees and bare feet and shorts and sunshine and beach every day of your life. Living in those environments for 6 months at a time is really bad for me emotionally.
Yeah.
So mostly I just want to live in a perpetual summer.
Yeah, nice. I like the sound of that. Just kind of what brought me here.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really interesting. And James, I liked hearing from him about how he got his job. And to me, it's interesting. It seems like there's a handful of like well-known tech brands that are open to remote workforce and advertising that.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to start to change so rapidly, and that it's going to be more of like, you'll be able to jump right into whatever website becomes the dominant place to find those types of jobs.
And once you get into
cool.
kind of full stack stuff, it becomes really easy to pick up other languages because you just kind of get the intrinsic logic of programming after a while, and it kind of sinks into your brain. And so if you needed to pick up PHP to work like on a WordPress extension, it'd be pretty easy to get the hang of it.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about your experiences on the road and the other places you've been in co-working environments. How's it been? Awesome spots?
I like yours quite a bit.
Glad to hear it.
I went to a bunch in Thailand. I spent a lot of time at Coffee Monster and a lot of time at camp. And camp was actually at the top floor of a very expensive mall in downtown Chiang Mai. So when you went there, it was like really chic, high architecture, lots of kids from the university, lots of young people. And then Coffee Monster was on the far northern edge of town. And it was more kind of like this, like on the side of a jungle next to a river, had a pond and a big garden, really tropical, the surroundings, and I would spend all day there. The difference is that both of them had a coffee shop and a restaurant inside of them.
Yeah.
So like I could go in there and spend all day there. I could spend 3 meals there. I could do that more at Coffee Monster because it was more like office oriented, kind of like this is. Whereas camp was like, they want young college kids to come in and buy a latte and hang out for 2 hours and then leave.
More
So it wasn't for
coffee
like,
shop vibe.
yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't like I'm gonna settle down here for 8 hours and get some stuff done.
That's, and again, this is also new, and we're looking to open a second location pretty soon in Vallarta. And, one of the big questions is it going to be like here in Sayulita where, more than half of our membership is people who live here 6 months or a year, all year round. And so they look at this as like my office.
Yeah.
If they could get even more private space, they would want that. Whereas from what I hear of a lot of other co-working spaces is it's more like open hot desk style.
Yeah.
So, until we really get down in Vallarta and see who shows up, I don't really know how, what it's going to be like. I guess we kind of have to plan to be nimble in that sense. But it is interesting to hear about the different dynamics of co-working spaces. And I guess, like what you said about the coffee shops thing, in the beginning I was like, oh man, that sucks that we can't have coffee. And I try to do a coffee program with a local cafe. But I think here, because we're in such a cool town and we're right in the middle of it, people enjoy going out, getting out of the office for a little bit, as opposed to wanting everything in here.
But you have everything in Sayulita within 2 minutes walk.
Yeah.
You don't need to put a restaurant here.
Yeah, we're pretty centralized.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see the space that we're looking at in Vallarta has a kitchen. So maybe we'll do a coffee program, maybe not.
I would encourage it. I liked having a restaurant in the co-working space.
Yeah.
Just so I could if I didn't want to take a break and ruin my flow, and go walk around the city for 20 minutes, I could just go to the counter, order something, and it'd be brought to me, and I wouldn't even have to stop.
Nice. Okay, cool. That's good feedback. So why don't you tell us a little bit, a quick rundown of your top tools? What are you using every day? What do you love?
Oh, sure.
What couldn't you do your job without?
Stack Overflow, definitely, for all things programming. Reddit is a great website that I use all the time.
So, Graham, do you get into Reddit? People are obsessed with Reddit.
I see links all the time, but I just don't.
Yeah.
Every time I've tried to get into it, I'm like, I don't get it.
Well, there's a bunch of subreddits, right? So you have to customize your experience to fit your interests.
Okay.
And then once you do that, you stop seeing all what we call the front page stuff, like all the stuff that everyone sees by default.
Right.
And you just see stuff that you're interested in seeing.
Okay.
So I see a lot of stuff for nomads, for programmers, for photographers. All of the interests that I have specifically that's all the information that I get. All the junk, all the noise that I don't want to see, I don't get.
Gotcha.
So once you get into it, it becomes part of your daily routine almost. It's like what you check for news instead of the newspaper.
Right. Sounds like Twitter for me.
Yeah.
That's where I go for all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. What else?
Of course, my laptop. And while I'm here, the thing that is probably most important to me is the sunshine and the water and the beach.
Here's a question for you. Because you use a pretty small laptop, and would you think it were cool if you showed up at a co-working space and they had big monitors on the wall that you could just plug into?
Sure, yeah. There's always the plethora of different connections that you have to deal with.
Right.
But I also carry a giant laptop for media production.
Oh, you do?
If I need to make video composites, or if I need to do special effects or do video editing or something.
So you have...
I have both. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But development is really light. It takes no real processing power to do just kind of coding.
Right.
Until it comes to compiling it into a big program.
Right.
And it does.
And is that something you've seen in any of the spaces that you've seen around the world? Do they have monitors available to people?
Usually if you rent a room.
Right.
Yeah. You here, I think you offer monitors, right?
No, we don't.
Mostly
Maybe one of our cubes has one, but no.
Mostly people bring their own stuff.
Right.
And I think that's why co-working can stay affordable, is if you start making it more of a traditional office environment, then your overhead goes up and then you have to charge more.
True.
And one reason I like Sayulita co-work so much is it's really cheap for me to come in here for a month or two.
Yeah.
And just type, sit in air conditioning, meet some people, and then go.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about things getting stolen or things getting broken in my absence.
Yeah.
I just bring it all with me.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Great chatting with you. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a subscribe if you like what we're doing here. And, don't forget to work the web so you can enjoy the surf, whatever your surf may be. See you soon.